was like, straight up, as he was like saying that, I like cut him off. I was like, I deserve to bust the windows out your fucking car. I felt so good busting his shit, busting the window out his motherfucking car, and then going on a date with somebody else could have been a better day for me. He literally had the audacity to be like, don't worry about it, which he knew was going to piss me off. He knew how to piss me off. That anger that you have towards this guy, you need to put that in something else. When my best friend said that to me, I put all that anger that I had towards this guy into Paul. God help me. I think I'm insane. Hey goddesses. So in this video, this is going to be a story time. I realized that there are some things that I've been wanting to kind of like share, like my life experience with certain things. And as you can see in the title of this video, it is the time that I busted the windows out of my ex's car. One, I'll just have to sit here and say, yes, I did bust the windows out my ex's car, but he did know about it. So this is gonna be kind of like a series because I have a couple of other stories that I do want to share. Like, I'm gonna be sharing this story of the time that I bust the windows out my ex's car. Another story of the time that I actually hid a knife in my bag when I went out on like this like date, quote unquote date with this guy, and I actually almost had to pull it out, and which is insane in itself. Kind of just want to share these like story, but as well as like a teachable moment. Like, I feel like there's so many teachable moments in these moments in my life that I just feel like want to finally come and share. So let's just get right into the video. But this was like during a time where me and my ex, we were not on good terms. So kind of the backstory, we were living together, and while we were living together, we had broke up. And the reason I kind of put air quotes is because I broke up with him because he was like, let's still be together while we're living in the same house. And I was just like, no. Okay, hopefully y'all can hear me even like better, like crisper or crispier, I don't know. Anyway, going back to the story. So yeah, he wanted to like still be in a relationship while we were still living together, and I was like, fuck no, I'm not finna do that. Like, if you don't want to be with me, I don't want to be with you. I don't care that we're living together, we're going to break up. So we broke up, and as we were living together, it wasn't actually terrible, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, there were bad moments and whatever, but the thing is, my ex really started acting real different once I moved into my apartment. He really started acting like a point blank period, he started acting like that. We broke up, stopped talking to him like for real for like 3 months because he really pissed me off. It was to the point where in this time frame where we weren't like on speaking terms anymore because he had did some shit that really pissed me off. And I'm gonna tell this quick story because maybe y'all will understand why I was like so mad. So this was during the time where we were like cool-ish with each other, you know what I'm saying? So he had went to like Oakland or something like that, and during this time, you know what I'm saying, I wasn't aware that he was like talking to other girls. Like I really didn't think he was or whatever. So I was like, oh, like you can park your car in my garage while you go to Oakland, because he had told me he had a homie out there. I didn't think anything of it. He comes back, I go to pick him up from the airport, and I had asked him like, oh, who was out there, and you know, who did you meet? Like, just really just trying to have a conversation and whatever. So this dude literally had the audacity to be like, don't worry about it, which he knew was going to piss me off. He knew how to piss me off. Anyway, after that, I wasn't like the last straw for me. He had did something else and I was done with him. So I just remember like I was actually driving around town because obviously I knew where he lived. I knew his car and whatever. And my best friend that was all the way in Virginia, I'm not really a crier when I get upset, but I was definitely like borderline in tears, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, I just want to go to his house. I want to get my skateboard, smash the windows out his fucking car. Like, I was just so livid. I was so mad. And this is a thing that's really interesting. Like, my best friend told me, she was like, that anger that you have towards this guy, you need to put that in something else. And I was like, damn. And no lie, kid y'all not, when my best friend said that to me, I put all that anger that I had towards this guy into Paul. So, like, that's kind of like, I feel like I'm the type of person that's like, I get angry. You know what I'm saying? I may be little, I may be small, but I have like anger, but not in a sense of like I want to hurt somebody. Well, I wanted to up at the end of the day, but I put all of that anger and whatnot, and we were not talking. So anyway, moving forward, 3 months go by, he finds out, like his friends that were following me told him that I was like a pole dancer, like stripper and whatever. I wasn't a stripper at the time, but that's what they were like telling him. And they were also saying like, yo, she's getting really, really good on the pole and all that stuff and more, right? Anyway, now we're in the pandemic, and in the pandemic I realized that the reason that he was like in my life again was to unlearn how to stop being jealous. One of the things that I realized about myself, I'm not really a jealous person, and I've never been. And when you are in a relationship with somebody that is controlling and very manipulative, they have a certain agenda of like the person that they're with that should be a certain way. And I knew this in the beginning of our relationship because he would say really like weird slick, and I thought it was weird. It was like, oh, like, you know, my exes would like act like this when I do this, and it's like kind of weird that you don't act like that and whatever. Like, it was kind of like slick shit like that, not in those words exactly, but kind of in that like narrative, you know what I mean? As time went on, he had like programmed me to be jealous, and I was never a jealous girl. So anyway, in this year of the pandemic of with him and dealing with him, I had to learn how to go back to being not jealous, which actually worked with him being in my life, you know what I'm saying, during that time. But anyway, let's get into the actual story. And I'm getting there. Well, when did you smash the windows out your car? This was during a time where like the pandemic was like uplifting, and like restaurants were opening up again and so on and so forth. His car that he had bought, he had like paid it off. He drove it all the way to LA. He lived in his car, all of this stuff, da da da. So he was ready to get like a new car, and he was telling me about it. He was like asking me for advice and so on and so forth, because I had bought my own, you know, first car and everything. You know, he was just like talking to me about it and whatever. And as he was talking about his car, I was like, so what do you plan on like doing with it? Now, mind you, we're on good terms, right? But at the same time, obviously I still have anger towards him. You know what I'm saying? I'm still like, I deserve to bust the windows out his car. Like, that was still like on my mind. Like, even though we were pretty cool, we were good with each other. Obviously we were and whatever, but I was like, I still deserve that. So he was talking about his car. He was like, yeah, like I'm gonna be like having some dude like come and pick it up. And then he brings up, you know, I'm even thinking about like fucking my car up before like the dude comes to pick it up. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, straight up, as he was like saying that, I like cut him off. I was like, I deserve to bust the windows out of your fucking car. He was like, what? I was like, after all the shit that we've been through, I deserve to bust the windows out your fucking car, and I will do it. He was like, okay, you know what I'm saying? It was like weird, but he was like, sure, okay. A few days or a couple weeks go by. It's like, okay, like this is the day I'm gonna be getting rid of my car and whatever. He literally had a sledgehammer in his like place. We go outside, you know what I'm saying? Like, we both go outside, and he's like, okay, like this is like the end. I literally took the sledgehammer from his hand, and like I just started going in. I was like, all right, I'm up, you know what I mean? I busted his windshield, I busted a headlight, I busted a couple of windows. His windows were kind of hard, but I got a couple of his windows, just like shit up. And it was funny because there was a moment where he was like, when am I gonna get a, you know, the turn? I was like, just wait. Like, I was like going in. The funny part about this too is like, I thought it was so funny how this day kind of like all panned out. So as I'm like sitting here busting the windows out his car and whatnot, and then he starts like up, you know, whatever, and he wanted to like celebrate with me. So the dude pulls up, and I was like, all right, gots to go, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, what? And I could see that he was like actually shocked and surprised. He was like, where are you going? And I was like, oh, I have something to do, because I did not tell him I was going on a date. It was like, I thought we were gonna like celebrate, you know what I'm saying, like go back to the house and like celebrate and stuff like that. I was like, no, No, I got things to do. So then I left. I went home, got dressed, and went on a date with another guy after busting the windows out of his car. For me, it was so funny. So then after that, I think it was either like a couple of days later, we had hung out. And I don't know how we got on the topic, but we were just like talking and whatever. And I was like, yeah, like I had like went out with like this guy and whatever. And he was like, wait, what? And I was like, yeah, like 2 days ago, like I went out with this guy. And he was like actually really hurt, I can tell. And I think he put 2 and 2 together that like when I had left, I had went on a date. That's what I was talking about. And I could see the hurt in his eyes. But then at the same time, I think even in that moment, I was like, but we're not together. So we're not going anywhere, right? And this is the thing that I realized, like, especially dealing with somebody that's a narcissist. Me saying that, you know what I'm saying? Of course, he wasn't going to say no to that. But like, I want to say a few weeks later, because this was during the part where I was like, I was so over him. And he knew that. So he was doing everything in his power to like reel me back in. And then, you know, there was a moment where I was about to tell him like, oh, I'm like healed pretty much. And I'm like so over you. And he was like, you know, every single time I talk to another girl, like I just can't stop thinking about you. Like I want to be with you, all of this stuff. And I was like, oh, and he reeled me back in. This isn't like one of those stories, like some crazy shit where it's like he didn't know. I just like slashed. I wish I should have slashed his tire. That would have been like epic. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna sit here and say this, like, I'm still happy of the fact that I busted the window. I can say that I busted the windows out my ex's car, and his headlight, his windshield, all of that, even though he was like there. But I feel like for me, because like I'm not really a toxic person, I would say, so it's like this was kind of like the best like solution, because when I was that toxic version of myself, like my friend made it clear to me, like, listen, he wins. If you go that far, you're gonna be the one to go to jail. You're gonna be the one to get caught. You're gonna be the one with the issues and problems. He's gonna go and live his life. You have to be better. You have to succeed. You have to let that nigga go. You know what I'm saying? So in the best way to put it, for it to happen this way, it's like, listen, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, I felt so fulfilled after busting his shit. I felt so good busting his shit, busting the window out his motherfucking car, and then going on a date with somebody else. Like, could have been a better day for me. Like, I totally forgot about that until like, I don't even know what made me think about that. But yeah, with that being said, I hope you guys has enjoyed this story time. And also the next story time that I'm going to be talking about, as I mentioned before, is the time that I hid a knife in my bag and I actually almost had to pull it out at some point. Like, that story in itself is crazy and whatnot. If that is a video that you are interested in, you want to hear, comment down below that you want to hear the second story. Tell the second story. With that all being said, do not forget to show some love by loving on that like button, as well as if you like videos like these, do not forget to hit that subscribe button, okay, and turn on that notification bell, specifically if y'all want to hear the second story time, okay? So love you goddesses so much, and see you next video. Love you goddesses and gods.